I am Kayla from Wayward Spirit.
And we're here with Other Delights.
Other Delights.
So if you've been following our tarot delights, you know we've talked tarot with the occasional tangent.
Oh my gosh, so many tangents. We should probably rein her in and be like, if you want more, go over here.
Yeah,
Because now I'm starting to
exactly.
keep like a list of stuff.
So we realized there's a whole bunch of stuff we could cover.
Yeah.
So we thought it's September, school starting, new things are starting. I always feel like it's a new year, right?
Well, and I mean, isn't the Witch's New Year in October?
It's Samhain,
Yeah,
yeah.
Samhain. So
Yeah.
like, it feels like it's almost New Year.
Exactly. And if, you know, as kids go back to school, you want newness in your own life as well. So we thought we'd do the premiere of Other Delights, and you had a good suggestion of, you know, the first one being sort of introducing ourselves, who we are, and we're not just, you know, hey, I'm so-and-so, and here's what I have to say about these subjects.
And I mean, we'll go down rabbit holes, and if you have opinions and or topics for us to talk about, please feel free to drop those in the comments, and we will catch them.
Exactly.
And we're looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say as well.
So we've been studying for a long time
Yes.
together. I've been studying individually for a long time. It's like probably 40 plus years, 50 plus
gosh.
years. No, 40 plus years.
I started dabbling in 2012, so that gives it 10 years.
Okay.
But like, I really started in 2018.
Right. I started somewhere back in the 70s.
Nice.
You know, so it's been a while.
But I think I love how there's different like viewpoints, right? Like I may have a less experienced viewpoint, but like you bring a lot of really awesome like sageness.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I couldn't find a way to explain that, and sageness just came out.
Mine is all informal education. She actually has papers. I mean, I do, I guess, have a few things
You have
up
papers.
up on the wall.
I gotta
but-
find my papers.
But you actually went through behavioral psychology.
I did, and I
and
mean,
got your degree in it.
and I mean, it is very helpful. It is essentially just learning how to read people and not using it for bad, because there's a whole ethics board to do with that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some common sense that needs to come with
Yes.
all of these things, which is not as common as
As you would think.
exactly.
Oh, the kids every day. I'm like, does this make sense? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, common sense is gone, isn't it?
Exactly. So I did put down a few things that I am here.
Oh, cool.
So, who am I? I'm Rhonda Devlin Gilbert on Facebook, so you can find me. I friend everybody, or you can follow me or whatever if you want. I'm also known as Lady Rose, which is my high priestess name that I took. I'm a master tarot reader. Now, you cannot use master unless you're at least 10 plus years as a reader. So that's why I, a little while ago, added master to my
That's fair.
tarot reader.
I got a few more years to go.
Yeah, title kind of thing. I'm a story keeper. I'm a fairyologist and a dragonologist, and yes, those are real things. I am a 9th degree Reiki Grandmaster. I'm a crystal and angel healer. I've taken all those courses and whatnot. I was born Mohawk of the Haudenosaunee Confederation. You might know it as the Iroquois Confederation, but the way we want it said is Haudenosaunee.
Okay.
Iroquois is actually a butchered name presented to the first Europeans from the Algonquins, who were not friends of ours at that time.
I always wondered where.
And
'cause, like,
Iroquois translates to snakes.
cool. I grew up with it being called Iroquois.
Yeah, and so
then,
did I.
And then it, like, I unfortunately didn't pay attention, and it was like, switch. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have identified also as a disconnected Native American, as my mother did for a little while. That's a whole other rabbit hole to go down, but she was part of the scoop and all that kind of stuff. We have since reconnected, but yeah, there's a whole stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. So
Sounds like there's a lot.
I'm a shaman of the Bear Clan, and I also have studied Celtic dragon shamanism.
Oh,
And so
yes, please.
I've done both because I'm what I term myself as an Irish Indian. So it's what I jokingly call myself because I'm part of both worlds. I'm a teacher of witchcraft and woman's moon mysteries and the dark magic. I'm a hoodoo practitioner as well. I'm a fairy tale historian. I call myself a spiritual Sherpa because I have a lot of things in my toolbox. I'm an astrologist. This isn't in no particular order, it's just as I remembered it. Numerologist. I'm a grandmother of two beautiful
They're
girls.
adorable.
Thank you. I'm an animal lover, avid animal lover. It does not mean I don't eat meat. I do, but I do it in a loving way.
Well, I mean, circle of life, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, you've heard me say I want to be buried with nothing but a shroud so the worms and whatnot can eat me because I want to go back to Mother Earth and be part of the food.
I want to be a
So,
tree.
Yeah, there you go.
So I gotta decompose for that to happen.
I'm, like I said, a certified high priestess and devoted to the goddess and the divine feminine. I'm a demonologist, mystic, published author, speaker, and facilitator. I think I covered most of it.
That is a long list. And awesome. But you've also been in business for how long?
Long time, just before 2010,
Nice.
as a professional tarot card reader.
Nice.
Yeah. I've had other businesses since then. I've dabbled in tarot and, of course, dabbled in a lot of these things for a long, long time.
Yeah, but I feel like, what is it? You have to do something with 100 hours? Or is it 1,000?
If you read something for 1 hour a day for 7 years, you have the equivalent of a PhD in that topic.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm almost there.
Yeah. I've hit the mark on probably a lot of them.
Yep. Yep. No, I've got more of the traditional schooling route for behavioral psych, and then really, I don't know what kind of, well, I mean, it's always been fascinating. I think I initially started my path of, I think I watched shows like Supernatural or other shows like that, and I was like, something doesn't fit quite right, because you always notice that they fit things to fit the story.
Right.
And then I'm always like, well, what was the original thing? Like, great that it fit the story. Cool. You got that wrapped up in a tiny little bow in the hour that you had to tell the story, because that's how TV works.
Right.
But I'm like, what's over here? What's in
Right.
the stuff you didn't tell us? And that's kind of where my kind of research started, and delve into the world of mystics and magical stuff, and was very much, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. And then when my brother passed away, I kind of was like, oh, this is it, and this is gonna.
I think that's when we kind of first met, was
Yeah.
when your brother passed away.
Well, I feel like I was aware of you for a while, but then it really didn't. It kind of didn't connect until I was like, okay, who else can I talk to about this? Because my mom probably thought I was nuts. And it's still like, it's not for everyone's kind of. It's not everyone's cup of tea. So you gotta kind of figure out who you can talk to, and them not think you're crazy.
Right, right. Yeah, I get that a lot where people come in and they'll say, I hope you don't think I'm crazy.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm the last person that's going to think you're crazy.
Exactly. And like, I love hearing people's stories. So in doing tarot readings, I've learned a lot about people and their journeys, and I think that just helps you be more of an empathetic human. So we met kind of in 2018, and off and on from then have really intertwined and learned, like, I've learned a lot from you, and I love a lot of what this has become.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
the garage.
Yeah.
And then
People often ask where I got the name Goddess Garage. And when I first started it, I was already going down so many rabbit holes. And I was like, nothing but a garage can contain all of this.
yeah.
Right.
Because it's like, why would you pigeonhole yourself in it? Like, a lot of my socials are Wayward Spirit Reiki, because energy work and Reiki is kind of where I got my foundation, but also where I feel most at home. Not that I'm willing to not branch out, but like, that is where my foundation is, and I will always go back to that. So that's kind of where the name kind of came from, as far as like Spirit Reiki with it. And in Wayward is actually an offshoot from Supernatural, because they went, so like people, if they're familiar, it's following two brothers hunting spiritual and demonistic things that plague the human world. They save the world almost every episode. In the beginning, it was like the monster of the week or something.
Okay.
It was really interesting. And then so they eventually wanted to branch out and have a girl version, and they called it Wayward Sisters.
Oh, okay.
And for some reason that didn't fly, but Wayward really stuck. And not like, and I know in traditionally Wayward would mean like, oh, you're a lost soul and like not really knowing what your path
Well,
is.
it kind of brings up the all those that wander are not always lost.
Yes, and that's exactly kind of where I was like Wayward Spirit.
Right, right.
And if I ever have to change it, I will cry. Because I really have embodied it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I absolutely love just all the things you can learn in life in general. And I'm extremely grateful for all my experiences. Like I grew up in a very, very strict Roman Catholic household, right? I'm the oldest of 7, and you know the old joke, every sperm is precious kind of thing, right? And but I'm thankful for it. Like a lot of people will knock the church, and I understand why, but at the same time the church taught me
A lot of things.
even though it's very patriarchal, and I knocked against it, and I started questioning it even at the ages of 7 and 8 years old. I knew my path even then was a spiritual path. I just didn't know what spirituality I was going to pick.
Well, and that I find is really interesting too, in the sense that like a lot of people either buck what they know, like fight against what they know, or they find their way to something that works for them.
Right.
Right. And regardless of what path you are in life, that is true for you. Whether you completely ignore it, which is totally fine, because I know some people who have grown up in the church that are just like, not my cup of tea. And they've just like shut that side of themselves down. And that's unfortunate in my eyes, but depending on your experience, totally understandable. So I've really found interesting in learning other people's stories and how they've navigated where they find themselves and where they find themselves most comfortable.
Right.
Because I feel like we are a sum of our experiences. And even though some of those experiences have not been maybe the healthiest,
Yeah. But also too,
they've shaped who
in
we
this
are.
day and age, not every struggle is a trauma.
Nope.
But a lot of people want to say,
Oh, yes, I see what you're saying.
I've been traumatized, or this
Yeah.
is my trauma, or whatever. Everything is brought to us to give us a gift, teach a lesson, and the positive spin on anything can be, what have I learned from this? What have I gained from this? Right? And I, as you know, have been, and we'll talk about it in depth later, but I've been through some shit in my life.
Yep.
But all of it has been very rich in lessons. Whether
Totally
it's I've learned something from it, or I've learned something that I don't want to emulate.
Well, and I think that's interesting too, is because I feel like some situations we're put in, it's either a lesson that we like and we have like, okay, I want more of this.
Right.
Or it's a lesson we learn that we're like, no, that was enough and I'm never going back.
Yeah, right. It's sort of like if, as a kid, if you touch the stove, it burns you. You learn not to touch the hot stove, right? And that's a really good lesson. But you're not traumatized by the stove.
No, but I think it could make you more wary of the
Of
stove
course,
next time.
and that's the lesson
what
that
it's
should be
supposed to-
learned,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
You know, but again, I mean, I'm not diminishing trauma in of itself.
No.
I'm just saying a lot of people use some of these buzzwords to, you know, say, I too am part of this, whatever, right? Like, you know, whatever it might be. Like a lot of people use anxiety as a thing.
Yep.
Right. And I know some people in my life that use anxiety as an excuse.
Yeah, I think it's how you process things. So it's like, hey, you come up to something that you either don't like or need to learn from something, and how you take something head, like how you take that situation head on and how you act afterwards
Yeah.
is a really big indicator of how things are going and how your problem solving skills are. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that if you don't have a good role model in life, your ways of figuring stuff out are going to be very different. But there are still ways to figure those things out, and you can still come out the other side a more aware person.
Absolutely. Because I think there's sort of a lack of the disciplined mind.
Yep.
And the disciplined being. It's okay to have reactions because we've all heard the don't react, respond, and that's great.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have some reactions to certain things, and that's okay.
Until you have that learned response of
Until you take that beat
Yep.
and that breath and go,
Yep.
okay, you know, like if I tell you someone close to you has died, like we were just saying, I met you when your brother just died.
Mm-hmm.
So of course you're gonna have the reaction of sadness, overwhelming sadness, right?
Yep.
But then we were able together,
to figure out
I
what
hope that I was
everything-
helpful.
Oh, totally.
and bringing that breath moment
Mm-hmm.
of, okay, let's see how you're going to respond to that now.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I first met you, you had like 4 different jobs because you were trying to stay busy.
Oh God.
And not, I don't want to deal
Yeah.
with this, so I'm just
And
going
it
to
still
keep working.
kind of is a coping mechanism because
But now you recognize it more.
yes.
And there's strength in that. And the beauty too is we don't learn things like one and done or
No, there's that spiral, and that's another thing I've really kind of honed in on is that spiral. Like COVID taught, and you know, if we're not allowed to say that word on this app, we'll find out. I think it's different with lives. I don't know. There's certain that could be a whole other
oh really
topic. Yeah, like
had
you're-
no idea.
if you say certain buzzwords, and I'm not even gonna go through them here.
Okay.
Your videos can be suppressed and not on the like For You page or like the suggested page.
okay.
So depending on what it is,
Who knew?
depending, I don't know. I don't know if I think it's more of a TikTok thing.
Oh, okay.
But during our time in less severe or less ideal situations and having to stay home, I learned a lot about myself and how like a day off is okay.
yeah.
Saying no to something is okay. I don't
Yeah.
like to, because then I
Yeah.
feel like it closes a door.
Right.
But I balance that mental health a little bit better.
Yeah, and what for me during those times was my agoraphobia really raised its head.
Yep.
And I knew, like you said, spiraling around. I thought, oh, I've dealt with this. I'm fine.
Yep.
You know, and then it raised its head again. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm having to dance with this
Again,
devil
yep.
again. And that's okay. Like I was just saying earlier, life is a dance. You take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back.
Yep.
And it's in the acceptance of knowing that life is that dance and just enjoying the process for what it is and bringing awareness to it, right?
And not enough people do that. I feel like we're so focused, and this is a societal thing. It's not because there's anything wrong with you.
No.
We're so focused on that end goal of like, okay, if I'm in school, I need to get that certificate, diploma, whatever, to get that job, to get to feel more secure and in that job. But then, are you more secure in that job? Are you less stressed in that job? No, you're more stressed because you have school debt and expectations at work and expectations at home. Like, enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Enjoy
'Cause,
the
like,
journey.
You know, a lot of us think if we've dealt with something, like if we've done shadow work, then we're healing this, that, and the other thing. Like I said, even I was surprised at the end of the, darker times when we were going back out into
Yep.
society. I was dealing with agoraphobia again. And I thought, well, I've finished with that one. I've done that one. I've succeeded. I've overcome.
It's got to spiral back around.
Exactly. And it was the universe's way of showing me how far I have come.
Yep.
That I brought self-awareness to it. And I was like, okay, we need to work on the discipline of my energy, my anxiety, and learn how to cope. But coping even larger than I did before, right? And knowing that it's always there, it's just how do you respond to it, right? Whereas before I was reacting to it, I'd lost 3 jobs because of it, and
Well, and I think just in the losing portion too, because like we all lost a little bit of something during that time.
and this was this was back when I was dealing with cancer and stuff. So
You sometimes don't know how to react to certain things because
Yeah.
you've never dealt with that before.
Right.
So even in so even in certain lessons, like you may lose one job or two jobs or however many, you learn that lesson and then you're like, okay, I think I'm done. And then meanwhile, you build back up and you have multiple jobs again. And then you're like, oh, sugar, something went down again. You know,
As
like,
humans, we have very small memories, right? We go skipping through our day thinking everything's fine.
meanwhile,
but
the
it's
world's
not.
like, no, you're not paying attention. I'm going to make you pay attention. You're not going to like it.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
next time listen. I've had that happen a couple of times.
Yeah,
and
I've had the universe slap me upside the head
Well, and I
hard.
I always find look for the opportunity, but I also don't like closing doors. So I find it really interesting when I have to pivot where I'm not comfortable. I'm like, but if I like it over here, and if I
Right.
go over here, I have to close this door, but I don't want to.
Yeah, but the universe is meanwhile saying, but the snow's coming in, so
Yeah,
close the damn
close the door. And normally, if I don't listen, the universe will make it happen. So I try and go, okay, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Let's listen, because the universe making it happen, it usually doesn't end well.
You're right,
So
right.
I'm like, no
yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
Let's not end it badly.
Yeah.
I've really had to like hone in and be like, okay, there's a season for everything. Am I still in the season that I'm supposed to be here? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because a lot of us will do, and there was a lady at the last party that admitted to doing this of, let's just see how things work out by us not making a decision.
That's dangerous.
That's a decision in of itself.
Yes, but the
Right?
universe doesn't like
No.
decision, not intuition.
Yeah, indecision. And it's not that you have to make a hard and fast decision right away, but there is that ability of owning stuff, and
Yep.
it's a very powerful moment. Like the moment I owned a lot of stuff in my own life that I was just letting fall out of control and
Yep.
just reacting to everything as opposed to responding, as opposed to even taking that breath and that beat to kind of go, okay, let's assess kind of thing, or reassess as it might be. Owning stuff, owning everything, good, bad, or indifferent in your life is a very, very powerful moment, because then you suddenly are more in control. You're not always in control of everything, and that's okay, but you learn to discern what you can and cannot control. And then it's a weird paradox, because it's like, okay, I can't control this, but I'm okay with it.
Yep.
But I can control this. And really, ultimately, it boils down to you can only control yourself.
Yeah.
And we always
your
want to control
reactions
other
to
people.
things.
Yeah.
And
we
then
want to blame
anything
everybody
beyond
else.
that, you're kind of at the mercy of the world.
Yeah. And life's going to throw you some curveballs.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people that are going to push your buttons. But like my mother would always say, because I would say, Kimber made me cry. She's my next sister down, and we would torture each other when we were kids.
You've told me some stories. You guys are vicious.
Yeah, we were vicious. But brothers and sisters can be.
Yes.
And my mother would always say, no one can make you cry. You decide to cry. And that is so true. I would hate it when she'd say that. I'd be like, oh, damn it. Shut up, Mom.
Because she was right.
But she was right. Yeah.
And I find it really interesting that we don't, so like as somebody who like was like, my parents don't know shit, I'm gonna go do what I want. To a certain extent. I didn't like go off completely off the deep
No,
end.
but everybody goes through the phase
But
where
everyone
my parents
goes through, yeah,
don't know
I
anything.
actually see it in like the grade 7s and 8s now. They're like, I
Yeah.
got this stuff
Yeah,
on lockdown.
yeah.
And I'm like, you have no idea. So as somebody who used to do that, I understand that like your parents are just looking out for you, and like in actuality, they're like just trying to get you to learn from their
Yeah.
mistakes
Yeah, exactly.
and not have to repeat what they've already
and
learned.
parents are not perfect either.
No, gosh, no.
They're human.
No.
And most of the time, I would like to think most parents have your best interests at heart.
I think 90% of the time, I think that's pretty true. I
know.
mean, there are some situations that unfortunately that's not
Of
the case.
course, yes.
But I honestly think that we can learn a lot, and it's that spiral, right? Like, I say this to my sisters. They don't talk to me about like big, like, monumental things often, but I'm like, hey, if you can learn from my mistakes already, like, let's chat. But they live their own lives, and they have their own like individual personalities, and it's
And their own
fun.
paths,
In
and
their
they
own
have their
paths,
own
yeah.
lessons that they have to learn too.
Yeah.
And some of us have to learn some of those lessons the hard way, regardless of
Yep.
who in our life can help us who in our life we might reach out to.
Yep.
Because, there's times where you reach out for help and then you go, fuck off, I don't want to help, even when it's given.
I had that happen in college. Like, so I have a behavioral psych, so like I'm not a psychologist. That's a master's level. My writing my thesis for my undergrad almost broke me, so let's not do it again. And I had a friend of mine who would we'd have the same conversation like every 6 months, and I'm like, are you gonna take what we say and possibly implement it? Because if you're
Right.
not, why are we still having this conversation?
Right.
So
right,
it's like,
yeah.
I feel like people need to be told things twice and 3 and 4 times. Granted, I'm sure parents out there that are like, oh my God, I've told my kid the same thing 16 times, still hasn't done it.
Or they hear it from someone else and they come home and go, guess who said the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
They
so-
were so right. And they're
so-
like, I've told you that like 10 times.
I'm guilty of that. Josh and my best friend are very much like, you're a cat. Until you figure it out on your own, it doesn't exist to you.
Right.
Because I can't even give you an example because it's happened multiple times, but I will have an idea or lack thereof or wanting to change something, and Josh is like, hey, do it this way. My best friend's like, hey, do it this way. Same concept. And until I'm like, oh yeah, I should do it this way, and they're like, we said that 6 months ago.
Right. Yeah.
So like there is some truth to that. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
people need to figure things out.
Repetition is so important. As humans, we need repetition.
Yep.
Because that's how we learn. If we could do the multiplication tables once and just know it, that would be great. But that's not how we
much time
learn.
we would save.
Yeah, really? Go to the gym once, lift 10 pounds. We're in shape.
I love
For
the
life.
I feel like there's I don't know. That might be some personal gain. I feel like there's some universal rules around that.
So we need that repetition both physically, mentally, and spiritually. That's why people read the Bible many times over, or read the
there's
Quran,
studies.
or there's studies on.
And I that was the one thing I liked when I did dabble with organized religion. And I say dabble because I only spent a few years in that vein of things. Is that there was a way, the pastor does touch on it on Sundays, but then on Wednesdays or whatever, there's a Bible study that'll either go deeper into what the pastor was already talking about, or they had their own kind of schedule. So you're getting that second and third repetition through another group. And I feel like that really tapped into how people learn.
Yeah.
And reiterated those lessons to their daily lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, if you're doing something again and again, that's okay, because allow yourself that repetition, but try to listen more attentively to the universe, to your spirit guides, to those people that come into your life like angels that say, hey, why don't you do it this way?
Yep.
But we're stubborn. We're not the
Yeah.
brightest bulbs in the box
Or not.
sometimes.
And sometimes we like the devil versus the devil that's unknown,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
I feel like that's a huge fear, is the fear of the unknown. And it took me a long time to be like, what if the grass is greener on the other side? If I was holding myself back.
Right.
Or if it was a confidence issue where I was like, oh yeah, I could do that, or I don't think I could because I don't think I can. I'm like, screw it, let's do it anyway. But it took a long time to get there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my mom used reverse psychology on me.
Love it.
I always know. I know the fastest way to get me to do something is tell me I can't, right?
My parents tried that. I don't think it worked the way
It
they
worked
wanted
very
it
well
to.
on me. I use it on myself.
See, I use behavioral programming. So, a lot of my degree is in behavioral programming. And I've learned, because that's how we learned how to do it to other people, only within the betterment of them.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole ethics board for it.
Yeah.
I
I do that too. I reward myself
Yeah.
and reinforce
Yeah.
myself with rewards.
If that's how I get all my chores done.
Right.
I'm like, if I get X, Y, and Z done, I can sit and watch a movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Find out what your carrot is,
Yep.
so to speak, and then use that, because what worked on us when we're 5 works on us when we're 65.
And what I love how all of our childhood, no, I don't want to do it, which is going to bed early, having naps, and something else, wanting to read all day. Those are mine. The goals. Total goals.
Yeah,
I was like, if
right?
I can plan my day so I go to bed early and have a nap in the middle, golden.
Yeah, right. And it's like the old meme of go big or go home. It's like, you have no idea how bad I want to go home.
Yep. It's like, why are we out? It's after 8 o'clock.
Exactly.
I say that and I don't have children because like most of my friends who have kids are like, I'm out at gymnastics or baseball. And I'm like, I'll come cheer them on with you. But, 9 o'clock rolls around. It's bedtime.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, this podcast, we're here to talk about all kinds of things from chakras.
Chakras, book recommendations, card decks we're really feeling right now. Like I've been using, did I already put it away? Yes, I did. The Wildwood Tarot.
Yeah.
I have it right here.
Magical workings.
Yep, magical workings. We can talk about spells. We can
Fairies.
talk a lot of stuff.
Healing energy.
Healing energies. Oh, yes. Chakra, Reiki, all that
Crystals.
stuff. Crystals would be fun.
It would be fun, yes.
We could do a
yes.
whole series on that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we could do crystal study on just one particular crystal and
Yeah, and
keep
all the
moving
different
on.
ways that you could utilize it within a practice
Yeah.
or like different spells.
Because a lot of people love crystals, and I find when anybody ever comes into the shop with a child, the children always go to the crystals.
Well, they have a really good energy. And I feel like children and crystals, they just gravitate towards each other naturally.
Absolutely.
Any crystal shop that I've been in, if there's a child in the room, they're at the crystals.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of people will buy crystals and then either get home and not remember what it was, or get it home and then go, okay, so now what do I do with it, right? So it's a lot of, like, if you don't know what to do with crystals, let us know in the comments if you'd like to see a crystal kind of podcast, and
We can
talk
definitely
about crystals and what to do with them. And
there's so many different things. So like I regularly pay attention to Spirit Roots Company. They're out of Cornwall. They do lives, and M is fantastic. M and Rob are fantastic. But they'll talk about like what they're for. If you're like, oh hey, my crystal's broken, I don't know what to do with it, they're constantly like, put it in the earth. Like give it to your plants.
yeah, exactly. All my plants have some form of crystal
Yeah.
in them.
And sometimes when you
And stonework too.
Ooh,
Because a lot of people love crystals, but they don't realize stones.
have also the same. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I
There's stone medicine and
I
stuff.
always wondered why I collected stones as a child, and I really wish I had. Because, like, at some point, I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. You can sell them off. I have no use for them. 10 years later, I'm like, damn it, should have kept them.
I still remember my brothers and sisters, like, collecting stones and then sitting at the side of the road out near our house and selling stones.
Well, this is more your generation than mine.
Yeah.
But the pet rock thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember doing pet rocks. Yep. Oh, can you see what that says?
Not before it faded. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I will try to be faster next time.
Yes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting. Yeah, definitely like and subscribe
And share.
and share. Ring
Yeah.
the little fairy bell, as I call it, so you know when these podcasts are coming up, so you can join us in the conversation.
I think you should also do some meditations on YouTube because people would play the crap out of that going to bed.
Okay. Yeah, I've been told that a few times now. Yeah, I that is on the list.
Okay. Oh, I know you have a list. Oh my gosh. I also have a list of things that I need to get going on. No, but we're gonna have some fun stuff. You have a new moon circle coming up. I have a full moon circle coming up on the 18th. We're gonna have a lot of fun
Yep.
in the Other Delights realm because I feel like we go to down rabbit holes
Yes.
on the tarot
Yes.
podcast.
Yes. So we went out of order tonight on the tarot podcast, which is totally fine. For whatever reason, the hermit was calling to us.
Yes, it really was.
So we did the hermit, and this is for the everything but tarot, basically. I mean, I'm sure tarot will come into it a little bit.
I think it will, but not as heavily because we can say like, hey, this is coming up, but also if you want more info, go over there. Just because we'll get too tangential if
Yeah.
we stay.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I don't, have you ever watched those YouTube videos when they right away tell you to like and subscribe? I usually try to do it at the end or near the end.
Yeah, I know
Because
some
it's
of
like,
them.
you don't know me until you've watched a video.
Well, and that's it. And like some of them, I know they can't. Some of them they can place the ads properly, or
Oh,
like
okay.
wherever they put. Once you get to the point of ads,
Yeah.
and some of them like put it right in the middle, right in the beginning, and I'm like, I haven't even been invested in this video. You put an ad halfway through, I'll probably stay. But if
Right.
you put an ad right in the beginning, I'm out.
Yeah, right? Because it's like, I get that all the time when I'm watching stuff. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're knowledgeable in what I'm wanting to look for.
Yeah.
And so like, don't ask me at the beginning. Like,
I love how, so we call this a podcast. Right now it's only on YouTube, but we will eventually migrate it over to Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah.
Or Apple Podcasts, just because we're trying to test the waters right now.
to see what it's like. So encourage us if
Yeah.
you're liking what you're seeing.
If you're liking what you're seeing, if you want to download the video to play later, it's probably easier to listen to it as a podcast if that's your jam. I know one of my kiddos that I help look after loves being outside, and they have an enclosed door backyard.
Oh,
so like
okay.
I'll listen to a podcast, but like my eyes are on that kid.
Right. Yeah.
So, and like I'm fully engaged in what he's doing, but I also like every so often I'm like, oh, it's a cool little tidbit. You know, so like that's how I consume my podcasts some days, or like going to bed, I'll throw a podcast on.
Right. There you go.
I just need that like sound.
Yeah. So I think that's a good
Yeah, that's a good
start.
for sure.
For our first one, just to let you know who we are and what our style is sort of gonna be like. So like I said, you know, subscribe to our channel, please. Share with your friends. Tell everyone within 3 feet of you that this is a great little video you have to watch.
And we'll be back with more interesting things because as the tagline is everything magical but tarot. So we are game for learning a lot along with you.
Yeah, and come along with us on Instagram.
Yep.
And Facebook. If you go to Goddess Garage, the group, you can find out our classes and stuff in our circles if you're local. Or you can just go to Goddess Garage Tarot Parlor, the page. You can follow me personally, Rhonda Devlin Gilbert. I'm on Instagram as Goddess Garage, and you're on Instagram as Wayward Spirit.
Wayward Spirit Reiki. Yep.
Wayward Spirit Reiki. And yeah, look for us, find us, like us, love us, all the rest of that.
And if you have opinions and or suggestions about what we should cover
Yes.
next, drop those down in the comment and
Yeah.
we will make it happen.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to let you do it because
Okay.
it never works for me.